The cardinal you saw at your feeder this morning arrived carrying a full morning's worth of decisions you never witnessed. It was awake before the sun came up. It had already spent 6 minutes sitting completely motionless in the dark, listening. It had sung for 16 minutes straight, burning calories it could not afford to waste, but burning them anyway, because silence would have cost it everything. By the time it landed on your feeder, it had been working for over an hour. What birds do to survive a single day is, by any reasonable measure, extraordinary. And most of it happens in the margins you never think to look. This is what a male northern cardinal actually does, from the moment it wakes to the moment it goes to roost. Every day, without a single day off. For as long as it lives. It is still dark, late April. The sun will not clear the horizon for another 42 minutes. Inside the dense interior of a holly bush in your yard, a male cardinal is waking up, not gradually, the way mammals surface from sleep, but instantly. Birds have a different relationship with unconsciousness. Research from the Max Planck Institute for Ornithology has documented that many bird species, including passerines like the cardinal, practice what is called Unihemispheric slow-wave sleep, a state in which one hemisphere of the brain rests while the other remains fully active. The eye connected to the alert hemisphere stays partially open and scanning. It is not a metaphor to say the bird sleeps with one eye open. It is a physiological description. At 5:47, the light level reaches a threshold, not sunrise, just the first indirect photons reaching the atmosphere during what astronomers call astronomical twilight. That shift triggers a hormonal response. Melatonin drops, corticosterone spikes. The cardinal is fully awake within seconds, but it does not move. For 6 minutes, the cardinal sits motionless in the inner branches of the holly bush and listens. This is not patience, it is threat assessment. The bird is running an acoustic scan, listening for the call of a screech owl, the movement of a cat through the underbrush, the alarm calls of other birds indicating a predator is active in the yard. Research on pre-dawn bird behavior shows that birds leaving the roost too early, before sufficient light for reliable visual predator detection, face significantly higher predation rates. The darkness is not safe. At 5:53, a chickadee gives a contact call from a nearby tree. That call carries specific information. The chickadee has assessed the area and found it clear. Contact calls among passerines are not random. They are signals the receiving bird reads and responds to. The cardinal moves to the outer edge of the holly bush. Visual scan. No movement, no silhouettes, no threat. The cardinal leaves the roost. The first thing it does is not fly to the feeder. The first thing it does is defecate. Through the overnight hours, the digestive system accumulates a compressed pellet of waste. Expelling it immediately upon waking reduces body weight by a measurable amount, which directly improves flight efficiency for the first flight of the day. Then the bird does something that will cost more calories than almost anything else it does all morning. It flies to the highest visible perch in its territory, the top of your fence post, and it begins to sing. This is not beauty, though it happens to be beautiful. This is territory defense. The cardinal produces a series of loud, clear whistles that carry across multiple adjacent yards. That song delivers one message to every male cardinal within earshot. This territory is occupied, its owner is present, and entry will be contested. At the same time, the song communicates directly with the female on the nest. She has been incubating eggs in the pre-dawn dark for 2 hours. The male's song tells her he is alive, the perimeter is being held, and she does not need to leave the eggs to verify his status herself. Research published in the journal Animal Behavior has documented that dawn chorus singing is among the most energetically expensive activities a small bird engages in. Sustained loud singing burns a significant number of calories. The cost is real, but the alternative is higher. Silence is interpreted by rival males as territorial vacancy. Vacancies invite intrusion. Intrusion can mean loss of the territory, displacement of the mate, and complete reproductive failure for the season. The cardinal sings from 5:58 until 6:14, 16 uninterrupted minutes. If you are new here, subscribe before we go further. A new video goes up every week, built around what the birds in your yard are actually doing when you are not paying attention. The cardinal has been awake for 27 minutes and has not eaten a single thing. It has already burned through roughly 8% of the fat reserves it built the day before. It flies to your feeder. What happens next is not casual eating. The bird lands, scans in every direction, takes one sunflower seed, and immediately flies to a nearby branch to crack it open. That full sequence takes approximately 40 seconds. It returns to the feeder and repeats 11 times over the next 8 minutes. After the 11th seed, the cardinal shifts to a completely different part of the yard and begins working through the leaf litter beneath a shrub. It is no longer looking for seeds. It is looking for insects. Seeds provide fat and carbohydrates. Insects provide protein. A bird running on seeds alone cannot build or repair muscle tissue, cannot support egg production, cannot meet the metabolic demands of the breeding season. The cardinal flips leaves methodically, scanning for beetles, ants, and larvae. Over 22 minutes, it finds and consumes 14 individual insects. Then it returns to the feeder for more seeds. This pattern, seeds, then insects, then seeds again, continues until 7:40, by which point the bird has consumed roughly 30 seeds and 27 insects. Its crop, the storage pouch in the throat, is full. The cardinal stops feeding and flies to a dense perch in a nearby tree. It sits completely still for 18 minutes. It is not sleeping. It is digesting. The crop releases food gradually into the stomach where processing occurs. Research on avian digestion shows that birds which rest after significant feeding extract measurably more nutrition from the same quantity of food than birds that continue high-activity foraging without pause. Moving aggressively during this window reduces digestive efficiency. Sitting still after eating is not wasted time. It is a metabolic decision. At 7:58, the female leaves the nest. She has been incubating for 2 hours and needs to feed. The male flies immediately to the nest and settles onto the eggs. Incubation requires maintaining egg temperature between 99 and 102 degrees Fahrenheit. The male's core body temperature is approximately 107 degrees, which means he is not simply warming the eggs, he is actively regulating how much heat transfers to them. Too little and embryo development slows. Too much and the embryos die. He adjusts his position repeatedly to ensure even heat distribution. This is metabolically expensive. Maintaining elevated heat production while sitting motionless burns nearly as many calories as active foraging. The bird is working hard while appearing to do nothing at all. He does not move from the nest for 34 minutes. The female returns. The male leaves immediately and begins feeding. He has been sitting without food for over half an hour and his reserves have dropped. He returns to the feeder, takes 6 seeds in rapid succession, then moves to a different section of the yard for insects. At 9:47, a blue jay screams from a tree 2 yards over. The cardinal freezes. It presses its body flat against the branch, compressing its profile, reducing its visible silhouette to as little as possible. It does not move for 3 full minutes. The blue jay's call was a hawk alarm, a signal so reliable that multiple species in the yard respond to it regardless of which species produced it. When the chickadees resume their normal contact calls, the all clear has been given. The Cardinal resumes feeding. This is a community information network operating in your yard every single day. The temperature has climbed to 84 degrees. Birds do not sweat. They cool themselves through panting, through shade seeking, and in more acute situations through gular fluttering, rapidly vibrating the throat membrane to increase evaporative cooling from the mouth. The cardinal stops feeding and retreats to dense shade beneath a tree canopy. It sits with its beak open, panting. For 40 minutes, it does almost nothing. This is not rest. Moving generates metabolic heat, which compounds overheating. Research on avian thermal regulation shows that small songbirds can tolerate internal temperatures up to approximately 113 degrees Fahrenheit. Beyond that threshold, proteins begin to break down and the bird dies. The decision to stop and wait in the shade is a survival calculation being made in real time by every small bird in your yard on every hot afternoon. At 1:30, cloud cover moves in and the temperature drops to 78 degrees. The cardinal resumes feeding immediately, aggressively, accepting risks it would not normally take. Longer time on the feeder, faster movement between foraging sites. It is closing an energy gap that opened while it was waiting out the heat. It has no choice. The pattern through the afternoon is feed, rest, incubate, monitor, repeat. The yard that appears quiet at 2:30 is running a schedule that has been operating since before you woke up. At 5:32, the light begins to shift. What happens in the final feeding window before roost, researchers call hyperphagia? An elevated intake state driven by the approaching fast. The bird will not eat again for 12 hours. Everything it builds in the next 36 minutes is all it will have to work with until tomorrow morning. Studies on overnight energy expenditure in small birds show that a chickadee can lose 10% of its body weight overnight from thermogenesis alone, the metabolic heat generation required to maintain body temperature through the cold. Cardinals are larger and lose a smaller proportion, but the biology is the same. If the fat reserves are insufficient, the bird does not survive the night. This is not a figure of speech. The cardinal feeds with a different quality of urgency now, seeds, insects, anything available. The light has dropped to a level where visual predator detection is no longer reliable. The risk calculation changes. The cardinal makes one final trip to the bird bath, drinks, and flies directly to the holly bush. At 6:14, it is inside, settled, the same spot where it woke up 11 hours ago. It tucks its head under its wing, fluffs its feathers to trap an insulating layer of air against its body, and reduces its metabolic rate slightly to conserve what it has stored. One hemisphere of the brain stays active. One eye stays partially open. The bird will cycle between light sleep and full alertness throughout the night, responding to sound, to movement, to any signal that crosses the threshold. And at 5:47 tomorrow morning, it will start again, every day, without interruption, for the full span of its 3-year life. The next time you see a cardinal at your feeder, you are seeing roughly 30 seconds of a 12-hour shift that started before you were awake. You are seeing one visible moment in a day of decisions, calculations, and quiet survivals that mostly happened without you noticing. That is what a bird actually is. Leave a comment below. Did you realize how much was happening in your yard before you even got out of bed this morning? I read everyone. Subscribe if you are not already. There's a new video every week.